Welcome back to the BookEnds YouTube channel. Today we are answering a whole lot of questions about the same topic.
Yeah, and so this first question is on picture books. And let's be honest, it's a one we've been avoiding a little because it's a stressful one for us to answer. And also, I think we like to be happy-go-lucky and positive.
Right, right. And that's the thing that has been leading us to avoid this particular topic is that right now the picture book market is a little tenuous. It's not super happy-go-lucky.
As you said earlier, it's doom and gloom.
Yeah, feels a little doom and gloom. Not gonna
Feels a
lie.
little doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Yep. And we had a great question in the YouTube channel, but we've also been getting sort of the same question in TikTok, Instagram, and even from our own clients, which is that it's getting harder to find an agent who's representing picture books. Um, for new picture book authors, it's getting harder to get a deal. I think that for established picture book authors, like any tough market thing with established people, it's a little bit better. But I think people are still feeling the pinch and getting understandably nervous. And so this question is sort of that are author-only picture books a dying breed? And what should authors be doing? And I
Yeah.
think that despite our desire to avoid the tough conversations, we're going to have it.
Yeah, well, now that we've hit record on this damn thing, I feel like all my thoughts are just gonna come tumbling out. But I think, okay, so the first thing I want to say is that I first started being an agent when? 2018, right? Like before that, I was strictly admin. 2018, my first few years, 29, maybe like 2021, it
Yeah.
was a huge picture book boom, in my opinion. Books were selling like crazy. It was humor, lyrical, cultural books, nonfiction, fiction, verse, prose, everything. Like
Yeah.
I think that there was a huge surge in bios, right? And I think what happened, in my non-expert opinion, is that the books were selling and people were flocking and
Hmm.
writing those books. And
Yeah.
it looked like a healthy, thriving market because it was. And I'm not saying it's not a healthy, thriving market now, but less so.
Let's use an economics term. It was in a bubble.
It was certainly a bubble.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And for an agent, I think it was easy to look at that and look at the sales that other agents were making and be like, that's where it is. Like that's where we're
Hmm.
gonna go. And that's what agents do, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Romantasy is happening right now. Agents are looking at romantasy and saying, that's where we go. That's what we do. That's what's going to sell and ultimately put food on our table.
And that's what we're going to communicate to our clients because that's our job is to stay on top of market trends and to be right in there making it happen.
Exactly. So on the picture book front, I also think COVID, for all
Oh,
its horrible effects, helped because now parents had to entertain children at home regularly. Books were a great way to do that, particularly nonfiction books, because nonfiction books supplemented what we weren't getting in classrooms. And then they also were like you could read a picture book to a kid in 10 minutes, so there was a volume game going on. People
oh, th
wanted,
that was just a fact. I mean, do you
yeah,
remember when during COVID, the sales reports would come out, the industry sales reports, and picture books were through the roof in terms of bookstore sales of what was happening because of that. So yeah,
yeah,
100%. And then
absolutely.
therefore, because bookstore sales were through the roof, the publishers were snapping up as many as they could get.
Yeah. And then sociopolitically, where you fall is your business, but we had things to respond to. I think the market had a lot to respond to. We had a criminal gap in diversity in picture
Yep.
books and representation. We had the same for a lot of nonfiction topics,
Yep.
and marginalized groups were under attack everywhere. And those authors were writing books, and editors and agents saw it as our mission to publish those.
And they were
Um,
filling those gaps in the list.
yes, and there's still so much work to do, but um, all of these circumstances created a huge demand and a big bubble for picture books.
Hmm.
And I would say that we were probably operating higher than even in like just a normal, like
I
healthy,
agree.
thriving market.
I agree.
And then kids went back to school, inflation of 2023, 2022, like things started to get worse there. The market started to slow down. And I think we bottlenecked. I think that's the best way to
Yeah.
describe it. When I used to drive home from the BookEnds offices, I will always tell this story. There were 4 lanes of traffic merging into 2 lanes of traffic on the bridge, and I would sit in traffic going home for hours. That's what's happening. That's the best way
Yeah.
to describe it.
Wow, look at you really pulling that out. I love it.
I know.
Um,
And then they redid
yes,
that bridge and everything got so much better. So
that's what we're doing right now. Are we doing that bridge?
yeah,
I mean,
hopefully.
and I think that's exactly it, you know. So the publishers are looking, and now they have books that are scheduled out for the next couple years. And they don't want to be buying books that are now going to go into like 2030.
Yes,
Yeah.
and just sorry to interrupt, but key point for
Yeah.
picture books, we are not buying for a book that will publish next year. We are buying for a book that will publish in 2 years. And then when you tack on the fact that so many illustrators are really busy, things are getting pushed even further. I have
Yeah.
books that are not coming out until 2028 that I sold last year. That's bananas,
Yeah.
but it's what's happening.
Well, so it's really common, right? So it's really hard for the publisher to say now we need to be buying picture books when their publishing schedule for the next 3 years is already full.
Yes. The other thing to consider is in addition to the market to sales probably slowing down on picture books, the landscape of publishing has changed too, right? Like there has been a ton of mergers, a ton of layoffs, a ton of publishing companies shutting down or whatever has been happening. I'm sure you're following PW News. The editors that edit picture books don't solely edit picture books. They also edit middle grade, YA, chapter books. Some do graphic novels, some do board books. That's a lot. That's a big docket of books.
Yeah.
They're getting submissions for all of those things.
Yeah.
I know because I'm part of the group sending them. Like those editors are getting a lot of submissions. Our choices for editors are getting fewer and fewer. Then when you factor in that I have an X amount of clients that I have to send books out for, but there's only Y amount of editors, sometimes things get doubled up. It is a lot. It
Yeah.
has
A
slowed
lot.
down the pace of reading, therefore the pace of buying.
Yeah. But, let me talk a bit from, my historical perspective is this is pretty normal in
Yeah,
publishing. It's pretty normal in business. Like for any industry. This is what's going to happen. Picture books are not going away.
no.
You know,
They're an institution.
right, right. We're just in a slowdown. And I think that, understandably it makes authors nervous, but we have been hearing about these kinds of things for other genres for years. Horror, historical romance are constantly nobody's buying, then people are buying, then nobody's buying. There are just certain genres and areas where this is typical and normal.
And romance is truly like the best example for it because the trends for romance, they blow up and then they move on to like it happens so regularly.
It's
And there are
so it's dizzying.
it is dizzy, it really is. And there are things that are being bought and sold and published right now. We just talked about this, Jessica, recently, I think on the channel, that when I first started here 10 years ago, those are books that y'all were just moving away from. You were like, all right,
Yeah.
we're gonna try something different. And now they're being sold again. And this is what happens.
Yeah, I'm selling books now, styles of books and types of books that I was selling 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Bubble fell out, and all of a sudden it's like I'm selling these books again. And so I guess what our questioners really want to know is what should they be doing? Because as an author, this is really scary, but I also here's where we come in with our positivity.
Yeah.
I think this is a moment of opportunity, and this is super important for all authors.
Yeah. I agree. Before we go there, though, I just want to mention one other point
Yes.
because the original question that we got, and I think you said it
Yeah.
earlier, was asking like there's a big shift in agents seeking author
Yes.
illustrator
Yes. Yes.
projects,
Good.
not just
Yes.
author only projects. And I just want to acknowledge that because it's very true. And the reason being is because it makes things a little quicker on our end, right? Like having the author and the illustrator in one, the schedule of the book moves quicker. Frankly, the deals are bigger.
Yep.
The deals are bigger for an author illustrator project than an author only project. It's my belief too that with the full vision, submission's a little lighter. It's a little easier to get someone on board for the vision and the package. I'm not saying that it's like significantly better odds, but it is a bit of a lighter submission.
Let me clarify something
Yeah.
quickly, if you don't mind, for people who don't know. Author illustrator does not mean you as the author should be going finding an illustrator. It means that you are both author and illustrator. And I think that's really important because I don't want people panicking and thinking they need to hire an illustrator or find somebody. That's not what we're talking about in this
Yeah, for
situation. It's
sure.
one person doing both jobs.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say on that too is that a lot of agents already have a very full list of picture book clients if they were taking those on. I'll speak for myself. I did recently do the shift from all picture books to strictly illustrator picture books because I had built a full roster of author only, and I did not have a full roster of illustrators. Now I have a full roster of both. So there's so many different reasons that go into it. It could be an agent who wants to dabble in picture books, but really wants to do the art. It could be someone who just feels they're stronger when they have the full vision. It could be someone who has a full list. There's a lot that goes into it. Regardless, though, it is harder now, and I will acknowledge that there are significantly less agents seeking text-only picture books. That's
Yeah.
unfortunately just a reality that we have to navigate. But now, to the part about what you can do, I really think there's only one thing you can do, and that's just keep doing it. Like, I fully believe that when things start to go back on the upswing, all the people that stuck with it will be there for that upswing.
I agree. I also think that um being in publishing and successful in publishing means being able to adjust to the market and market trends. It doesn't mean you jump into every market trend when it happens, but I also think that if it's more difficult, if there are fewer agents to query, if things are slowing down, this might be a really great opportunity for you as an author to be exploring alternatives. You know, maybe keep at the picture books, as James said, but I also think it would really be good to check out other forms of writing. Maybe you want to be doing YA. Maybe you've always wanted to try your hand at adult. Maybe you want to be an illustrator. Maybe you do have a talent there that you want to explore more. You know, I think that sometimes we get very zoned in on we only do this one thing, but I think the most successful authors across the board, picture book, adult, nonfiction, whatever, have the ability to be ready to try different things when the market demands it.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think the longer you stick with it, the more likelihood you're going to get that idea, like that book, that manuscript will be written that will break you out, or that agent will pop up. I mean, we have new agents at BookEnds that are still
Hmm.
seeking picture books. New agents will pop
Absolutely.
up. Like there is that. That's the thing about publishing, is very revolving door. The trends go in and they come out, they go in and come, but so do the people. And I think that that's very key. So the people who are sticking with it will catch more of those swing arounds, and
Yeah.
you will have another idea that swings around and makes it break out or finds the right person or what have you. But that it's just kind of stick on the ride, which is
No,
what
it's
agents do. Truthfully,
that's
that's our
that's a
job,
hundred
sticking on
percent.
the ride.
The other thing is that 25% of you who are writing picture books who are watching this right now are going to drop out and give up, which gives everybody else who's sticking with it a little better chance.
Or move on. And that's totally normal too. Like you're
Totally
gonna move on,
normal.
and this is something that you want to do in this season of life that you don't in the next. Like me and every like exercise regimen ever. Like this is what happens. It's normal.
It's normal. But, you know, stick with it. It does feel very doom and gloom, but, you know, picture books have been around since the dawn of time. That is not going to change. You
No.
just have to ride the wave like we're doing with
Yeah.
everything else in this world. Sometimes you just have to ride the wave.
Yeah. They are a founding institution for readers everywhere. Young kids need picture books in order to be readers as adults. So they're not
Yep.
going anywhere.
Nope.
And also, fun fact, pro tip, go out and buy books that are not books that you read when you were a kid and give them to the kids in your life. Because I
Yes.
am so tired of seeing 30, 40-year-old picture books hit a bestseller list. Go out and buy books published in 2024 and 2025. Support authors now. It's the best thing you can do. Go buy new books if you can.
Yes. I love that. What a
Or
great
check
way
them
to
out at the
end.
library. Circ numbers matter.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, maybe we weren't as doom and gloom as we thought. Well,
We
I
don't
thought
know
we were
how we
going to
don't know
be.
how to be doom and gloom.
No, but we hope this was helpful. If you have any other picture book questions, drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you back here next time.
Bye.